Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a topic that is literally all around us every single day, yet it's one of the most misunderstood fields out there. We're talking about linguistics.
All right, so let's get right into it. To really understand what linguistics is, we kind of have to start with what it isn't. So let's just bust a few of the most common myths right off the bat.
So, do me a favor. Just for a second, when you hear that word, linguistics, what is the very first thing that pops into your head? Go ahead, think about it. Got it? Okay, hold that thought.
So was your first thought something like A, being a polyglot, someone who speaks a ton of languages? Or maybe B, being a super strict grammar expert, like the grammar police? If so, you're not alone. But both of those are actually misconceptions. The real heart of linguistics, the thing we're going to unpack today, is C, the scientific study of language.
And that word, scientifically, is everything. It's the absolute key. It's the fundamental difference between what a linguist does and what, say, a translator or a grammar teacher does. It's a complete shift in thinking, from just following rules to scientifically observing how language actually works out in the wild. So let's really dig into that, because this distinction is crucial. This is the mindset that really defines linguistics. It's all about observing language as it is, not telling people how it should be. Okay, perfect example. Take the sentence, I don't know nothing. Now, a prescriptive grammar teacher would probably whip out a red pen and say, nope, double negative, that's wrong. And that's the end of the conversation. But a linguist leans in. They get curious. They don't judge it, they ask questions. Who says this? In what situations? What does it actually mean to the community that uses it? You see the difference? The goal is to describe reality, not to enforce some old rule. So what really makes this approach scientific? Well, first off, it has to be systematic. This just means you can't be random about it. You have to use organized, consistent methods to gather your data. You need a structured plan so that your findings are actually reliable. And this is exactly what we mean. A linguist isn't going to just listen to one person from New York and declare, this is how New Yorkers talk. Of course not. Instead, they'll systematically record and analyze speech from hundreds of speakers to map out the real patterns and all the variations that exist. Second, it's got to be evidence-based. This is huge. It means your conclusions aren't just based on your personal gut feeling or some dusty old rulebook. No, they come from real-world data, audio recordings, billions of text messages, controlled lab experiments, anything that shows how people truly use language. Exactly. So instead of just assuming how kids learn grammar, researchers go out and collect thousands of things that kids actually say. This real-world data gives them concrete, undeniable evidence about the true patterns of language development. And finally, to be a real science, your claims have to be testable. You need to be able to make a clear prediction, a hypothesis that can be proven right or wrong. You have to be able to design an experiment to see if your idea actually holds up to scrutiny. For instance, a claim like, speakers pause more before long sentences. Hey, that's a testable hypothesis. We can actually record people, measure the pauses with a stopwatch, and see if the data supports it. But a statement like, Amazigh is the most beautiful language, well, that might be a lovely thought, but it's an opinion. There's just no scientific way to prove or disprove it. Okay, so we've established that linguistics is a science. Now, you're probably asking, so what exactly does it study? Well, we can think about the whole field as having two major parts. I want you to think about language like it's a car. Microlinguistics is the study of the engine itself. You know, what's under the hood, the gears, the pistons, the raw mechanics of how language is built from sounds, words, and sentences. Then you've got macrolinguistics. That's the study of the driving, how that car actually moves through the real world and interacts with society, with culture, and with our own minds. So let's pop the hood and look at that engine. Inside microlinguistics, you have these core areas. Phonology is the study of sound patterns. Ever wonder why the S in cats is a sharp S sound, but in dogs it's a buzzing Z? That's phonology at work. Morphology is about how words are built, like how the word unbelievable is actually made of 3 separate parts. Then syntax is the grammar, the rules for how we string words together into sentences. And semantics studies the actual literal meaning of all of it. These are the nuts and bolts. All right, so let's close the hood and get behind the wheel. This is macrolinguistics, where we see how that engine actually performs in our daily lives. This is language in action. Think about a simple text chat. You coming tonight? GG. And the response? I don't know, lol, maybe. This has nothing to do with correct grammar, right? It's all about being fast, setting an informal tone, and building a personal connection. Language here is doing a social job. Or let's look at a political speech. The repetition of that word, together, is absolutely not an accident. It's a powerful tool, carefully chosen to build a feeling of unity and to persuade an audience. This is language being used as an instrument of power and influence.
And hey, even a simple street sign can tell a really complex story. This one, with Arabic, French, and Amazi, isn't just giving directions. It's making a huge statement about history, about cultural identity, and about which languages get to be visible in public life. It's a symbol of culture and politics all rolled into one.
So, what's the big point of all this? The main takeaway is that when we start looking at language scientifically, we realize it is so much more than just a list of words and grammar rules to memorize for a test. It's a dynamic, living system. Linguistics gives us the tools to analyze its core structure, to see how it changes over time. I mean, just think about how thou art became you are. And most importantly, it helps us understand the countless, incredible ways we use it in our real lives every single day. Honestly, understanding linguistics is like getting a brand new lens for your eyes. Suddenly, you start to see the hidden science, the incredibly complex systems that are humming along just beneath the surface of every single conversation, every text, every sign you read.
So I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you're texting a friend, just pause for a second and look at it. Are you just sending words, or are you taking part in a complex, beautiful science that's unfolding in real time? That's linguistics, and that's The Explainer. Thanks for joining us.